on the schedule crucial, it take a toll. It don't matter if we at home or on the road. You try to tackle, I'll truck a sucker and take it soul. I'm staring at 4th and goal, gotta find an open hole. A linebacker just close a hole where I'm supposed to go. So now I'm thinking my centers are all pro, so I trust he can make a walk for wherever the ball go. Tap the cue on the shoulder, that safety is coming over. I see that look in his eyes. If he slip, I'ma slide right under the tight end, curl over the right end. Long as the wide receiver block for me, I can jump right in. Yeah, there's 5 seconds on the play clock. The crowd was loud, but they stopped. Now it's silent while they watch. They stand off in the red zone. All I see is red home. Watch me get this touchdown and this W and head home.
Welcome in, Cowboys Nation, to week 6 of Cowboy Game Day live from Kanvas Sports and Social out here on the beautiful patio. Jesse, Holley, Skywalker, Still, what's good with you, brother?
What up, brother?
I'm ready. You ready?
I'm ready.
Cowboys Nation, y'all ready? The Dallas Cowboys better be ready because, boys, they are down. What's the song? Down bad. They down bad right now. Well, a lot of players out, but we'll get to all of that. We got an exciting one. It's Cowboys football, man, and it's the week before the bye. So you ever see Waterboy? Last game of the year, Jim can't hold anything back. It's not the last game of the year, but it's the week before the bye, so they can't hold anything back in this one, Jesse.
You know, you say that, and I caution you as someone who has played in games
against this specific team, by the way.
Against this specific team, by the way. And at halftime, we were talking about whose plane were we going to jump on? And let me remind you, we were up 20-3 at halftime against the Detroit Lions
team
at home. And it looked like we were on our way. And at halftime, the conversation was, hey, yo, who credit card we putting the PJ on? Because we got this game in the bag. Jokers was already had their plans plotted, where they was going, what time the plane was leaving, who plane were we getting on, where was the destination. So I say that, and I was a part of a veteran group.
A veteran group, and a good team for real during that year. I mean,
and we ended up losing that game after being up 20-3 at halftime. I think we lost that game 35-30. That
was the Calvin Johnson 300-yard game.
That was the help me game.
Help me.
Yeah. For Brandon Carr, where not Brandon Carr, it was Calvin Johnson. Calvin Johnson went off.
He went off on everybody.
Yeah. He went off.
Let me say this. There should be no thinking about PJs and CJs and any J. The only thing they need to be worried about was happening on this field today, because I doubt they're going to be in a position like that, Jesse.
You say that, and I think about this generation, and I don't want to be. Please, I get that. You see the gray in my beard. I'm salt and pepper poppy. I get all that. I don't want to be get off my lawn. I don't want to be. But this is a different. I'll give you an example. Malik Neighbors, right? Wide receiver for the New York Giants.
Damn, that's a good point.
Is out with a concussion. In concussion protocol, is not playing. He turns up at a Travis Scott concert.
And for the old heads who don't know Travis Scott type concerts, think of Woodstock.
Think of all of the lights.
Hip-hop Woodstock.
All of the brightness. And not only at the concert, but he's at the club afterwards. And this is all being videoed.
Yeah.
It's being videoed and put out on social media. Yeah. So when we think this, and I know I'm not saying that Malik Neighbors is these guys, and these guys are Malik Neighbors. I'm saying this generation is built a little bit different.
It is. I mean, that's no lie. And what we're talking about, Cowboys Nation, if you can't read between the lines, Dallas is going to be without a significant amount of players, starters, backups, and I'm being nice when I say that. Let's kind of get to these inactives and actives and some of the guys that have been called up. So Darius Harris will be called up, the linebacker. If you guys remember, he won a couple Super Bowls with the Chiefs. The Cowboys signed him to their practice squad. Just put a pin in that. You'll see why he's being called up. And then Amani Oruwariye, once again, will be called up, I believe, the third time now. So he'll have to be signed to the roster if he's going to be called up next week. And there's obviously a reason for that.
Well, next week's the bye. The week after that.
The week after that. Yep. Apologies. Yeah. So here are those who will not be playing today. Deron Bland will not be activated after having 2 full practices Wednesday and Thursday. Did not practice Friday. I thought that was a bit of a concern. I don't know why. I didn't hear anything. I didn't know if anything flared up, or maybe they're just being cautious heading into the bye week. So they're saying, look, we got an extra 2 weeks really for him to heal and come back versus the San Francisco 49ers. So with Deron Bland out, you're going to be rolling out there with Amani Oruwariye, who will be cornerback 2, and cornerback 3, or outside cornerback, I should say cornerback 3, will be Andrew Booth because Kalen Carson will be inactive after practicing full for a few weeks. So no Kalen Carson, no Deron Bland for the corners, Jesse. Another really the tallest task, I think, for this cornerback group of the season, really.
Yeah, absolutely. While this team, we'll talk more about it, wants to run the football, what they do in the play-action pass is going to be significant. They haven't taken a lot of shots down the field this year, but the way that they run this offense with the crossers and coming across, and they have a big play guy in Jameson Williams. He's the guy who has burners. Of course, we know what Amon-Ra St. Brown is as a route runner and a playmaker. And, of course, you can't forget about Sam Laporta, who's one of the young and up-and-coming tight ends in this league. So they're going to use this offense in a multitude of ways. And so not having a guy like Bland or a guy like Carson out there, again, is another tall task, especially if you can't get home to Jared Goff, who, when he is not pressured, he is one of the best and most accurate quarterbacks in the league.
And the Cowboys are going to be without their best pressure guy again. Michael Parsons is going to be out. Obviously, D. Law is on IR, so he's out of here. John Stevens is also inactive. Trey Lance, of course, again. Deuce Vaughn, Matt Waletzko, and maybe the biggest one, not of the big names,
right?
Deron Bland and Michael Parsons, right? Eric Kendricks.
Yeah. And
that's the reason why you have Darius Harris up, because I believe Nick Vigil did not get called up, so he's not going to be available. There's no need to inactivate him, but he didn't practice this week either. So Dallas is going to be without their linebacker 1, Green Dot, their middle linebacker 2, Nick Vigil, and it's going to be, according to Christy Scales, Maris Leofau wearing the Green Dot, and you've been very vocal about the importance of not having Eric Kendricks, and really it's heightened in a game like this with the team that likes to run the ball. So let's kind of start right there. This Lions offense that is, run-driven against a Cowboys defense who has been up and down. Let's just be real. It's been up and down from a run game standpoint. Weeks 1, 4, and 5, really good. Weeks 2 and 3, not so much. But here in week 6, they're going to be without their top 2 middle linebackers, as well as Michael Parsons and D. Law. So it's going to be a tall task against a Lions rushing attack that has, if not the best, one of the best offensive linemen. Oh, by the way, offensive lines, Frank Ridenhour is coming back in this game too. So no Kendricks to navigate things, and he can play too. It'll be Maris Leofau, the rookie. Why is that concerning for you?
Well, first and foremost, you talk about a rookie, right? This is a guy who, while Maris has been touted as a brilliant player, right, very smart young player, he doesn't have it all down, right? There are still components to this thing that Maris just hasn't quite figured out yet. And then when you're a rookie, it's one thing when I go out there and I just have to work. It's a whole nother thing when I have to go out there and I'm responsible for everyone around me. Not only do I have to get the call in, I have to make sure the other 10 guys on this defense is lined up correctly. I also have to make sure that when this team, the Detroit Lions, begin their shifts and their motions, that when we do our checks, I'm the one now doing the checks. And for a young player, it's already a little bit nerve-wracking trying to play fast without thinking. Now I have to think for everyone else, get everyone else lined up, and then figure out what I have to do. Oh, and by the way, go play fast as well. And when you look
that's the part right there.
And when you look at what he's facing, I'll just give you a quick stat. The Lions right now are tied for 6th in the league in snaps in motion, right? So, I'm sorry, motion at the snap of the ball. They do that 33% of the time, that they'll snap the ball while somebody is in motion. They're 4th overall with motion overalls. They use motion 74% of the time. To give you context about that, Dallas, 11% at the snap of the ball, someone is in motion, and overall, they're 47% using motion. And I say all that to say that they're going to try to put Maris Leofau in a blender.
Yeah.
They're going to try to make him confused. They're going to try to make him miss, and that's the concerning part, because when you're not comfortable, when you're not getting the calls right, guys tend to run open in that defense.
And all those motion stats you talk about, the Cowboys, at least going into last week, were, I believe, the worst defense defending at snap motion and pre-snap motion. So, they're still trying to clean that up over the years. They've always been pretty bad at doing it. But, they're without their guys, so their top guys, so it's going to probably be even worse. But this is one of those games where for this defense, and usually it's every week, but even more so this week, it starts and ends with stopping Gibbs and Montgomery.
Yes.
This rushing offense. And I say Gibbs and Montgomery, and really, I'm going to keep it a bean, they're the afterthought. What, Scott? How are they the afterthought? Because that offensive line is really freaking good. And then after that, what Ben Johnson does with the scheme, right? It's really freaking good. Oh, and by the way, they got 2 running backs who know how to run within it that are really freaking good. Yeah. So you're going to have to ask these guys this week, the Tyrus Wheats, the Chauncey Golstons, the Osas, and Linval Josephs. I mean, when you look at it, it's truly a David versus Goliath type of matchup when it comes to the Cowboys' front four, whether that's the starting front four or the reserves, against that offensive line and the rushing attack. Somebody posed a great question when I called it David versus Goliath. They were like, who's the stone in the David versus Goliath? I said, that's a great question. It's going to have to be your linebackers. I said, you wanted Kendricks out there, it's not happening. But it's going to have to be DeMarvion Overshown, Maris Leafau. I don't know if Harris is going to get a lot of tip, whomever. But those linebackers are going to have to play like Tasmanian devils. Yeah. Like with hair on fire. If you're going to be wrong going 110%. I don't want to see you half-assing it, because plays are going to have to be made at that second level against this rushing attack. Because if you can't stop this rushing attack, then it's all she wrote. So do you sell out in stopping this run, knowing what they can do to pass, or do you say, hey, look, man, we'll just continue to play conservatively, let them march down the field and just hunker up at the in the red zone?
To even go a little bit more deeper into what you just mentioned, David had 5 rocks. He had 1 for Goliath, but Goliath had 4 brothers. So he came. He had to hit all. He came prepared that I'm gonna take my shot, and I'm gonna make sure that I hit each one of them with 1 shot. That's how good he was, and that's how good this defense has to be. The Cowboys defense has to be, that they're gonna have 1 shot to do this. Right, you're not going to get multiple chances at stopping this run. And what I mean by that is that when you get into these plays, everybody on every single play has to be a rock. Yeah. You got to hit your assignments. You have to hit where you're supposed to hit. You have to be where you're supposed to be. One of the things about this Detroit Lions offensive line that is really, really good, and we talk a lot of times about the trenches, and then we talk about, man, most explosive runs in the National Football League happens when the receivers are blocking downfield. That's when you get 15 to 20 plus yards. Well, that's fine, but it's really when an offensive line are able to get to the second level to get blocks on the linebackers, and that's what they do really well. This offensive line of the Lions, they get on their initial blocks, recreate the line of scrimmage, and then those that are comboing, those that are dual blocking, they get to that second level and get their hands on linebackers efficiently, effectively, and that allows Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery to get to that second level, and now they're able to make those explosive runs. So for the Cowboys today, Maris Leafau, Demarion Overshown, Damone Clark, and whoever else will be playing.
The safeties are going to be important too.
Whoever's going to be playing in that thing. When you come downhill, you got to come downhill under control. You have to come down in the right gaps, because these guys have really good vision, and tackle. You can't give up. You can't miss tackles. You can't give up, those big home run plays. So to your David and Goliath situation, you got to hit with those stones each and every play if you're going to stop this run game.
And make no mistake about it, that is not an exaggeration. The Cowboys are down to their defensive end 5 entire.
It's a mash unit.
And Chauncey Golston, he's their third or fourth defensive end when everybody's healthy. There's no D-Law, there's no Micah, there's no Sam, and there's no Nealon. And then you already had a suspect interior defensive line anyway. Oh, by the way, no Kendrick. So that is not an exaggeration, ladies and gentlemen. That is one of the best running offenses over there, and you're one of the worst, right? At least against good run offenses, and you're depleted. So by saying that, don't look at it as, this is a big
doom and gloom. No, this
is legitimately a mismatch that the Cowboys have to overcome to secure victory. That's just facts. And if that hurts your feelings, then that just hurts your feelings.
And to answer the second part of your question, how do you attack it? I think Zim has to mix it up, right? Because I don't think you can be too overzealous and too aggressive, because they still do have players in the back end. But also you have to find a really good rhythm of when I'm going to
run blitz,
when I'm not. Because also, when you look at what this Lions team is on first down, they do a lot of under center play action pass on first down. Jared Goff is 24 of 27 on play action pass on first downs for 425 yards. So they get that running game going, and then what happens is you begin to sell out to stop the run. Now all your linebackers and your safeties are up the field. They play action pass, and now he has all that space behind those linebackers that came up to field the run to dump passes off to his tight end, to his receivers, and so on and so forth. So the Cowboys and Mike Zimmer on defense, they have to do a good job of mixing these things up, keeping the Lions offense kind of a little bit off kilter a little bit, never knowing, never showing your hand and never kind of giving the tips of when we're coming, when we're not coming, and allow that to be a determining factor of how you get home and stop this Lions offense.
You brought up the play action pass. Jared Goff is number 1 in play action pass percentage. So they almost run play action they run play action at almost 40% of the time.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought about you because you're always one that's like, get under center. You're always saying, I want Dak under center and I want play action run from under center. And you're going to see a lot of it today with Jared Goff.
And let me say this, because I often bring this up on my show. The fans know this. It's not just like play action is not just, we're just going to be in shotgun and half-ass put the ball and then show the ball. No. They run legitimate run action.
Yes.
And I'll show an example a bit later when we switch sides of the ball. But they'll pull guys and they'll have – it looks like a run, and then, it's not a run. And next thing you know, the middle of the field is wide open for a crosser or what have you, a pick play, whatever. So, be prepared for that. We're going to play a lot of too high. That's just what Zimmer does. So these safeties are going to have to not bite as much. It's tough it's so tough for linebackers to not bite on play action because that is in their nature.
Yeah.
Like your number one job is to play downhill and stop the run.
Especially against a really good running team.
Especially against a running team happens, but they're going to have to make up for that or guess right because again 40% of the time means you're going to be guessing sometimes on their play action. So really you're watching these offensive linemen. And Ben knows that. Ben knows linebackers are reading offensive linemen. So if I do a pull, it looks like a run. It's not. They're really just pass blocking. Next thing you know, Sam Laporta's behind you. So, defending the play action is going to be huge. But winning on early downs, I think, is going to be the most important thing.
Yes.
I know they don't have their rushers out there.
Right.
You're not going to beat the Lions by having Wheat and Golston just winning one-on-ones on the outside against Penei Sewell.
Not this offense.
Not this. So,
Penei Sewell's first team All-Pro. It's just not going to do that.
It's not going to happen from down and down out. No. So when I went back and said, well, how are teams pressuring Jared Goff? What were work? First of all, he was like the second least pressured quarterback in the league. But pressure percentage, he was like 12th. So teams got a little pressure on him. So I'm like, well, how do they do it? Well, the way it was being done was more so with stunts. And that's something that Mike Zimmer has shown the ability to do is run some stunts. Now, not as much as Dan Quinn used to do.
Right.
But when you're without your top guys, quite literally your top 4 defensive ends and your top 2 middle linebackers, you have to get a little bit creative out there. This isn't Justin Fields where you just rush upfield, play containment, and hey, he can't throw the ball.
Right.
You want to move Goff off his spot a little bit because, like you said, if Goff can sit there and be fine, I almost said, I'll tell you what I said off there. I'm about to say, I'll tell you what. Oh, boy, hold on, let me mute myself. that Bob Cousy is what we call it on Voss's show was perfect last week. He was perfect when he wasn't being pressured. But they did sack him, I think, 2 times last week. And when I went and looked at some of his sacks this year, it came on twist. It came with D-E-T-E twist, T-E twist, whatever. But you have to get these linemen moving. If you just try to run down the middle of their chest all game, that's not going to happen. Right. You don't have the dogs down and down out up front to do that. So, hey, show 7 at the line of scrimmage, peel back 5 and rush 2. Show 7 at the line of scrimmage, rush 4, peel back. Mix it up. We talk about mixing up for run defense. You've got to mix it up if you get into third and favorable for the defense so that Goff is not just back there comfortable being able to file his nails and just waiting for guys to peel open.
No, I think for him, he's happy to have his center back in Ragnow, right? Because that sometimes alleviates some of that. But for the Cowboys, this is the problem when you're talking about now. Maris Lewis-Fowl is your green dot guy. Is you're playing with a lot of youth, right? So setting up some of these things with guys who, I don't want to be the poo-poo guy, but you're not able to go out there today with guys who can win one-on-one battles by themselves, right? Like that's what you miss when you don't have. This is the figure, the point of having a guy like Micah Parsons, where this guy can go make a play without you anything for him.
Right.
But when you're out there and you have these guys who are backups and third stringers and rookies, I don't know how much or how comfortable Zim is going to be in this game as this game goes on to call some of those things to mix it up, because
like the blitzing
and even some of the twisting stuff just to get guys where they're supposed to be. That's going to be a big thing for, today for the Cowboys is, can we have 11 guys on the same page, because you're going to need it, right? If two guys are off, that's going to leave a gaping hole, and these are the type of running backs and the type of receivers and the type of offense that they can take an inch and make it a yard, right? And so for the Cowboys, that's what. And I agree with you. I think they have to mix it up somehow, some way. But it's just a tall task.
It's a challenge. To me personally, I know Lamar Jackson and Henry. I think from a complete offensive unit, this might be the toughest. In general, you're dealing with a better offensive line in Baltimore, and then you're dealing with better weaponry on the outside in Baltimore, and that's something we really kind of bury, right? Because we're talking about this run game. Sam Laporta, Jameis Williams, St. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's a tough little unit right there, right? For me, though, I look at Trayvon Diggs. I like Diggs back in this matchup. He's probably going to have a lot of snaps against Williams, and Williams is the type that could give a little bit of trouble on deeper routes, because when you watch when Diggs struggles throughout his career is chasing dudes on overs, right? You're chasing them on overs or shallow crossers, or kind of those double moves, right? And we saw what Jameson Williams run a double, I think it was against the Seattle or another Rams, and got behind the team for a touchdown. Saw him in Seattle running over and get open on an anticipatory throw, 50-some yards for a touchdown. So it's still Diggs. So I'm like, there'll be some wins and losses there. I do like Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jordan Lewis. Jay Lou has won that matchup throughout the years, and they got a little rivalry going on right here. So I'm excited to see that one.
I am too.
Jay Lou a dog, man.
Oh, absolutely.
And, I don't think he gets enough credit. I don't think he got enough credit last year. This year it looks like some –
listen,
people are coming around. But
I said Amon-Ra plays for Detroit.
J. Lou is Detroit.
He is Detroit. Right? There is a distinct difference. Amon-Ra plays for Detroit, right? You're adopting the dark. You see what I'm saying?
I was born in it.
J. Lou was born in it.
Molded by
it. By the time that I saw the light,
I was blinded.
I was blinded. So like that's what I like that matchup right there. That matchup right there is going to be one to watch. But the X factor for this team because we'd say, all right, Diggs, he can handle Jameson, and I like Amon-Ra and Jordan Lewis. Who's going to lock down Sam Laporta? That's going to be one of those things where you're looking at somebody saying, "Hey, now's the time to have the game of your life. Now is the time." Whether that's whatever linebacker you want to choose, or if they decide to do it, because I think they did it some last year where they moved J. Lou to play some of Laporta.
They had success last year until that last drive, and when DQ got soft,
right?
Even who was it? Wilson. Donovan Wilson, who is notoriously, we don't want him in coverage deep, but if it's 10 yards within, he had that nice pick going to Sam Laporta or in man coverage. And almost similar last week. He didn't have the pick, but he had a nice stop against Pat Freiermuth. He runs the out. It's in front of him. He doesn't have to chase anybody past 10 yards, and he fires down, boom, and it's a third down or fourth down. So if they want to get it to him quick and it's underneath, that's fine. But if they start sending them deeper into these routes, that's where it's like, okay, get home, because we don't want them to find space.
Right.
And get one-on-one with the safeties. Yeah, so that's going to be who matches up with him. Lewis-Fowl in college was notoriously a guy that ran with these dudes, but I haven't seen a whole lot of our linebackers just playing man against tight ends this year. It's been cover two type. It's been zone. We run a lot of cover two and quarters and cover four. Like, we run that type of defense, and that's going to happen when you're down, guys, and you're playing that bend but don't break defense. And that's what I was saying earlier. Like, if that's what you're elected to do in this game, then you cannot be one of the worst red zone defenses, because that's what the Cowboys have been throughout this year. One of the worst red zone defenses. Jesse, to kind of put a bow on the defensive side of the ball, we were kind of joking about this before we came on here. Your front seven, all these rookies and second-year players and old men in Linval Joseph and these practice squad guys are going to have to play the best ball of their lives at the same time.
At the same time.
Right?
Together.
Like, that's no joke, man. I mean,
right.
Tyrus Wheat, only been in this league for a couple years. He's got to play the best ball. Chauncey Golston is the starter in this game against a really good – he got to play his best ball.
Yep.
Okay? Osa Digizuwa, we've seen him have his best game, so maybe not his best, but damn near. Okay? Linval Joseph, 55. I need Linval Joseph to turn the clock back. All right? Mozzie, can we get to the Giant performance?
Mozzie,
so that was your best game. Let's go back to the Giants performance. And then second-year DeMar Van Overshown, rookie Mercy. These are young dudes. These dudes ain't played a whole lot. Darius Harris, he's won some Super Bowls as a special team guy.
Damone Clark, you're pissed off you're not getting a lot of rest.
We need your best game.
Now's the time. If you want to get back in the graces of the coaches and find yourself back in the lineup, go out there and be a dog today.
Yes. So if they all can come together in that manner, I know we joke around about hero ball. Like, I ain't saying abandon your responsibilities, okay? I'm just saying I need the Justice League all to come together and all be superheroes together.
No, you're absolutely right. Like, this is one of those games.
Everybody get up and
you talk about a total unit that needs to play together. Defensively, you need to have these guys come out. And we talk about Superman for number 4. They need to be Justice League. They need to be able to band together and form Voltron. They need to find a way to really go out there and play their best. And you know the crazy thing about football is that ball sometimes can bounce many different ways.
Go a crazy way, man.
But you got to be in position to make sure it happens, right? Like, so you got to have 11 guys to the football, right? When one guy hasn't wrapped up, somebody got to come in there and try to punch it out. If and when Jared Goff throws a tight window throw, get a hand in there, tips and overthrows. Like, it's all those things that you got to be able to capitalize on today, right? Like, if you're in the backfield and you got a sack, you can't miss it. You can't miss the tackles for losses. Today, what you have against this offense and the unit that you're going out there, you don't have room for error. You have to capitalize on every single situation that you possibly can. I'm not saying play outside yourself. I'm saying take your game to the optimum level that you got. Whatever that is, you need to be on that today, and it needs to be 11, 12, 13 guys, whatever the rotation looks like of those guys going out there playing their A-plus brand of football for 4 quarters.
All it takes is a couple plays, and you will start believing, right? And then that team on the other side will start saying, are they for real?
Right.
Nah. And then they make another play and like, okay, now we're pressured.
Right.
Now they feel the pressure to go out there and not realizing they're outmanned, but now they feel like we're not. So if the Cowboys can make a couple plays early in this game, then I think that momentum could carry them through, because these coaches, these positional coaches on the defense side of the ball, they're not short of attitude and toughness and getting guys right. They're not short of it. They're not short of making these guys believe, but the guys have to make the plays to believe themselves.
No, absolutely.
Let's get to our Underdog Fantasy game day pick'ems this week, ladies and gentlemen. It is our Underdog Fantasy pick'ems. Join the millions and millions of fans that are playing on the #1 fantasy sport app, Underdog Fantasy. Just a reminder right now to use the promo code ATOZDALLAS for a up to $1,000 deposit match. Watch them, pick them, win them. Download the app or click the link in the description, and you can go ahead and take this pick 'em this week. I feel really good about it. We were talking about the Cowboys defense having to play up to their level of play, right? And Jared Goff, I know you can say depleted secondary, depleted front, depleted linebacker group. He should have a field day throwing a rock, right? Higher or lower here is set at 251.5 pass and rush yards. Well, rush yards, he ain't doing shit. Ain't worry about that. But 251. I went lower. And let me tell you why I went lower, Jesse.
I know you're about to go.
No, look. It's two ends of the spectrum here. Okay, 2 ends of the spectrum. Let's start off with the bad news end of the spectrum. Okay? The bad news end of the spectrum is These motherfuckers might run for 251 yards on you, so there's no need to throw the ball for 250, right?
I'm with
so
you.
if they run for 250, he going to throw for 150. So he's going to have lower.
Right.
But here's the good part. If he doesn't reach 250, if the Cowboys are going to win this game, it's because you're getting turnovers on Jared Goff. You got him off his game. He's not seeing the scheme right. The blitzing may be getting there. They're changing the picture. He's off. So one of the two things is happening here. Jared Goff ain't on his game because he hasn't beaten you since like 2018, right? You got his number at the crib. He's feeling the pressure. You're stopping the run. He's trying to he gets into trouble, or they run for 300.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's really a middle ground. So I got lower here. Just
you know what? That is a tough one.
Sense.
I can see why you went that route because it does make sense. You know, we've seen what this Cowboys team has been when it came to the motions and then running off the motions. And this Detroit team is a really good team up front, man, with two really good running backs. So I get it. So I'm not saying that you're right. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm saying I understand it. I feel you. Okay. I feel where you're going right there. All right. Yeah.
Let's go. Jake Ferguson's line today is higher or lower than 49.5 receiving yards. And we're about to switch over to the Cowboys offense so we can kind of preview it right now. So in this game, again, without Cooks again, right, going up against a Detroit Lion defense who has been more susceptible through the air, you're going to really be leaning on your top dogs. Once again, CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson. Ferg had a good game last week and the previous week. He's on fire, I think, as a tight end between the 20s. They got to get him involved in the red zone. But to me, 50 yards is basically what you're asking him to get. I can see that with just easy. I don't got to really explain no X's and O's here. Jake Ferguson is going to get targeted, and I think he can easily get 50 here. They're averaging – sorry, one more. They're allowing almost 11 yards per reception to tight ends this season, the Lions are.
No, I agree with you. You know, Jake Ferguson is a matchup problem. Similar to Sam Laporta, right? Those tight ends being a matchup issue for any team's defense, whether it be linebackers, nickels, or safeties. So I think that trend continues for the Cowboys. It must continue for the Cowboys. They have to have one of those games where Dak is really dealing offensively, and I don't think Dak deals unless Jake Ferguson is part of that equation. So I'm with you on that one on the over.
And then the final one is Rico Dowdle. Let me get back to this. Is Rico Dowdle. This one actually was a little trickier because this Detroit Lions rush defense is really good. But they put the stat here at 41.5 rush yards. And that got me thinking. Last week, Rico Dowdle touched the ball 20 times. This week, he gets down to the red zone, he fumbles at the goal line, and people are like, where the hell is Ezekiel Elliott? And then questions start getting asked. Chill starts stirring the pot. If y'all know who that is, then it is what it is.
What up, Pop?
And everybody's like, what's going on? So they're talking to Mike McCarthy about it. They're talking to Zeke about it. And everybody, well, Zeke is like, man, I don't know, you got to ask them. McCarthy said, oh, no, this week we're doing the same thing we did last week. So if they're going to do the same thing.
And Jerry said that they're saving them for later.
Which, whatever, man. I'm not, come on, that's a whole show we can do on that. They're saving Zeke. Okay. So if they're going to do something similar as last week, that means Rico getting about 15 of them things, right? He going to tote this thing 15 times.
There you go, baby.
Right? And if he get 15 or 20, I can easily see 41.5 yards, even though that's not a high clip. And if he only finishes with 50, that's not a great day.
Right.
So I went on the over on this, even though the Lions are top 5 rush defense this year, and they don't really allow teams to go crazy, Jesse. I know Kenneth Walker went off on him last week, but Kenneth Walker's a dog. Really People don't realize that. He's one of the best running backs in the league. You don't got Kenneth Walker walking through that door.
Right.
I know, tough one.
This is tough, and we'll talk why some things have changed on the Cowboys' offensive line that we'll talk about in the next segment. The Cowboys, 19 games since they've had a 100-yard rusher. 19 consecutive games since the last time that they've had a 100-yard rusher. Rico got 87 yards last week, and it seems
it
as
felt
if
like 200.
Right? It seems as if they've kind of found something, but I don't know if running the football is going to be the thing today. I think that if the Cowboys are going to stay in this football game, it's going to be on the back, shoulders, arms of Dak Prescott. And so I think they're going to pass the ball a lot more than they do running the football today.
Well, let's dive a little bit more into that. But this has been this week's Game Day Pick'em, brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Again, download the app, use our promo code ATOZDALLAS, and get a deposit match up to $1,000. I got a higher on Rico, lower on Jared Goff for his pass yards, and higher on Jake Ferguson's receiving yards. I feel pretty good about all of those, but you were just talking about how things have changed here for the Cowboys front. So what happened last week, let's kind of go back a bit. Tyler Guyton goes out of the game. Tyler Smith boots out the left tackle. TJ Bass gets inserted. They finished about 2 quarters and some change in that manner. Guyton returns to practice. Practices all week. However, per Christie Scales, it looks like Tyler Smith, Guyton. I'm going to get these dudes, man.
Yeah, you got it.
Tyler Guyton is going to be on the bench this week. He's not fully quite ready, apparently. And Tyler Smith will be starting at left tackle with TJ Bass at left guard. So you do get significantly worse at left guard. You get better at left tackle, but you're going up against a defensive front, as we kind of previewed a little bit, whereas they're really good. DJ Reader, Aleem McNeil, Aiden Hutchinson, like these guys are good against the run. Their linebackers are really, I think, the heart and soul of the run game. They got 4 backers that are really good. It is going to be tough to run against them. You are now a little bit depleted, but at some point you have to have some semblance of balance. Because I don't know if you want to get into a drop back 45 times with Aiden Hutchinson on the other side of that ball. In the same situation, you got to treat him like TJ.
Yeah.
Because TJ wrecked your game for a little bit, but he didn't when he needed it the most. So kind of tie this all together, Jesse. This offensive line down their rookie Tyler Guyton, who a lot of people are like, yay, yes, bench him. We'll see, because a lot of people had this assumption that TJ Bass was amazing last week. That really wasn't the case when you watched the film. He came in, played like a backup, held it down, he got through the game. We'll see how they do this week with it, but this line is going to have to hold up so that at these times Dak can put that cape on and Lamb and Ferg can get some work.
Yeah, for me, I think the balance that you're talking about means a little bit to Tolbert, a little bit to CD, a little bit to Jake Ferguson. I think
you basically say it right there.
Listen,
we spread it out here.
I think that's where the balance has to lie, and it has to be quick, right? Not TJ Watt. Not all white guys look alike. Not all white guys look alike.
Hutchinson like that though.
Yeah, Aiden Hutchinson right now leads the league in quarterback sacks and quarterback pressures. Where he has 6 so far,
yeah.
and they're down a game because they just come off the bye week. Mm-hmm. So for what he does, and he'll line up. I say he lines up in a wide 13. It ain't even a wide 9 sometimes. It's a wide 13.
He'll start out 9,
thing.
and he'll bump out even further, bro.
Boy, I thought one time he was at the top of the numbers. I said,
he was out the picture in 22.
I said, I know these numbers have changed, but we got nickels and dimes wearing 90-something now. He was so
far. In the 3-point state.
Yeah, I'm like, he was so far outside. It threw me off. But, to me, I don't think running the football, because Mike sometimes can be stubborn, especially on those first down runs.
Yeah.
You can't find yourself in 3rd and long. Third and longs today will get you in a very bad situation.
That's
so
fair.
I think you have to attack and approach this thing as if on first downs, here's what we're going to do. We're going to spread this thing out a little bit more. And like I said, I was joking, but I'm dead serious. My balance now is a bunch of these guys getting a lot of passes, because I don't think the run game is going to be the effective run game that you need. I'm not saying you completely abandon it, but you got to throw this team off. And if you're going to just line up and think you're going to run the ball on first down, then you're going to find yourself in 2nd and 9s and 2nd and 8s, and then it'll be 3rd and 7s and 3rd and 8s. And that's what Detroit wants you. They want to be able to have you on those long down and distances so that Aaron Glenn can now pick and choose when he wants to send his blitzes and where they want to come from. And, of course, he can just pin back the ears of Aiden Hutchinson, says, go get him, son. And that can wreck your game plan if they're dropping 7 or 8, and Aiden Hutchinson now has his way at the quarterback.
That's fair, man. But what I'm asking for this run game, I don't need nothing crazy.
You just need about 47 yards.
The 42. I ain't put that much by man. I don't need nothing crazy, man. Look. Last week, the Cowboys only rushed for 109 yards, Jesse.
Yeah.
It felt like 209 because the Cowboys are the worst running team in the league, or second to worst running team in the league. So, look, if we finish this game and Rico averages 4 pop, and you finish with a $109, and the run game has its moments, because that's all it did in Pittsburgh.
Right.
It wasn't good for 4 quarters.
Right.
It had its moments. So if I can get this run game to have its moments, that's the balance really what I'm looking for.
I got you.
If I can get if I get him not to quite abandon it completely and abandon the run action, then I feel good about it. But if we're just straight 45, 50 passing attempts and don't give a damn about the run, or at least the run action, that's where you can get a little bit of trouble, and you can expect maybe an errant throw, interception is going to happen with Dak Prescott, because you're now asking him, the line, the receivers, all to be perfect for 50, 55-plus attempts, and that's just tough to do. So, well, Sky, how can you manufacture some of these things? Number 1, motion. You seriously, man, you go watch this defense. This is one of the most aggressive defenses. Nothing has really changed for me last year.
Can I read it to you again?
Read it to me again.
The Cowboys are 30th in the National Football League at motion at the snap. They use it 11% of the time. The Cowboys are 24th overall in the league. The Cowboys are 24th overall in the National Football League at motion overall, only using it 47% of the league.
Well, damn it, Justin, it was 10th last week.
I'm just telling you,
That's
brother.
all I need. I just need what I saw last week.
Okay, I'm with you.
You know
I'm with you.
I don't know what got into Mike. He went home and said, man, I'm going to be somebody different. I'm
Mike
showing
from
out.
Pittsburgh said, I'm bringing my bag to home.
With no motion is slow motion is no motion. He said, nah, we motioning it up in Pittsburgh. I need him to pack the Pittsburgh bag, put it on the PJ, come back to the crib,
the helicopter,
and pull it. Or there was a helicopter. Pull it out, and bring that, because I saw orbit motion from the sky. If we was in space, Elon Musk said, "Here, have some of this orbit." We saw orbit motion, return motion, at snap motion. I was getting
escape
dizzy.
motion. He had a couple of escape motion. Exit motion.
Get him out of here. I was like, "Whoa, I'm dizzy here." So give me that, because I've seen this team, this defense struggle with some pre-snap stuff, right? And then the other thing I talk about a lot is when you deal with aggressive type of linebackers, you've got to start doing play action. And before we get up out of here, I do want to show this. When you're dealing with these aggressive linebackers, if you go back and look at this Seattle game, they show run action with their tight ends and with their offensive line, snuck the tight end behind all that. You got these linebackers going to bite on the play action, and you're going to get a wide open touchdown in the back of the end zone. Hey, Cowboys, how can you get some easy red zone stuff? Right there, under center, Jesse. Play action. Okay, this is out in the middle of the field. I know this is Sean McVay, but you're going to get this at snap, pre-snap motion with Cooper Kupp. He's going to run kind of this corner, but at the same time, you're going to have this run action with it, and watch what it does to this cornerback right there. Watch number 32, bite, bow. He's wide open behind. It's simple stuff to me. Just sprinkle a bit of simplicity out there. That's all I'm asking for.
I just push back on you a little bit, and I go.
Just a little twang.
I go Kyron Williams. I go Kenneth Walker. 2 running backs who you gotta respect those guys. I don't know if they're going to respect this running game as much as you would do with those 2 other type of backs.
You ain't lying.
Okay. but I'm hoping with you. I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you.
Okay, here we go, Cowboys Nation. Cowboys win if Jesse out. Or you want to just go with just predictions? We only got like a minute left, so just go ahead. Let's get our predictions out the way right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this: the Cowboys don't win this football game if you don't have part 2 of Superman returning to save Metropolis. It's going to be on the back, shoulders, arms, mind, brain of Dak Prescott. But I don't think it's going to be enough for him today. I got the Cowboys losing this game. Detroit 30, the Cowboys 17.
I'm just sitting here writing this, man. On paper, the Cowboys are outmanned, right? No 11, no 90, no 50, no Nealon, no Deron Bland,
no Brandon Cooks,
no Cooks, no Vigil. On paper, they've technically got one of the worst run defenses. They're going up against one of the best run defense offenses. On paper, they're not making big plays. They create big plays. But the game ain't played on paper, Jesse. The game is played on the field. And on the field, the Lions are probably going to win this game. So, the Lions, on paper, losing this game. The Cowboys losing this game to the Lions.